Welcome to TJ's podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for listening to the podcast. It's my buddy Riggins.
Hey, good morning.
We didn't have a podcast yesterday because, it's been joking with Riggins about having the day off. He had the day off, but he didn't. He was working. Our manager, Adam, took him into a big meeting with executives at a radio station. But did you get to sleep a little bit later though?
I did.
Yeah, that was the main thing. But then you had to fight regular people commute traffic.
That's crazy. I didn't even realize. It's been so long since I've been in rush hour in the morning. Mm-hmm. Years and years.
Yeah.
And I could not believe how long it took to go from the suburbs into the city.
It's crazy.
I'm like right on the edge of the city.
Yeah.
But it was over an hour.
Yeah.
I could not believe it.
And then he had to perform at a meeting, a department meeting.
Yeah. It was very intimidating.
Did you take your guitar?
I didn't. I should have, though. I just thought they were going to introduce me and give a little bio, but then they were like, stand up, it's show business. I was like, oh. And then they put up a slide with my picture on it and all this information about me.
Ooh.
And I was like, who came up with this information? Because it was not accurate. Some of it was, though. And then I'm like describing things about myself, and then they started peppering me with questions. I couldn't believe it. I just was ill prepared, but the performer in me turned it on.
Oh, sure. No doubt.
It was fine. It turned out fine, but it's fun. I like going into the city every once in a while.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
Never once in a while. No, I'm kidding. Sometimes it's fine.
Yeah, it's just a level of excitement,
I wouldn't want to do it in the morning during rush hour traffic, though.
That's not very fun.
Mm-mm. So what time were you finished with your work stuff yesterday?
Probably 10:15. I left there.
Yeah.
It went longer than I thought it was going to go.
But straight home after that?
Yeah.
Did you get to go to the pool yesterday? Did you go?
No. Because it threw off my really my whole day is wrecked because I'm like, even though
You're out of your routine?
Yeah, I was just all out of sorts after that. But I'm going to go on Friday.
Did you drink beers yesterday?
Did I have I had a beer.
Mm-hmm.
2 beers. 7.
3, 4. Yeah. But just that little bit, you couldn't come in and get on your regular routine or anything because you were just thrown off from it.
Yeah. I was having trouble falling asleep, which never happens. It was like a whole thing because I was just replaying what happened in my mind. And it was fun.
You have a fragile ecosystem around you.
Very much.
A lot of creative people are that way.
Yeah. I also didn't face a lot of adversity in my younger life.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the benefits of playing a lot of sports when you're a kid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It prepares you for sort of a.
Yeah, my kids have had a hard time through life in their older teens and so forth because they had no adversity.
Yeah.
Kind of makes me wish I would have been more mean to them growing up. But they were always so, I hate to say it because it sounds like an old person, well-behaved. They're always mannerly and not getting into trouble or anything like that. So there's really no way to throw adversity at them if they're good kids, other than my son played Little League for, when he was young, and then he got his hand broken and he didn't, he played another year after that, but he didn't care much about it.
Yeah. It's the natural urge to make your kids' lives better than what you had. But I heard somebody say, I forget who it was, they were talking about how they had a bad childhood. So they're trying to correct their own childhood by being a good parent to their own kids. But in doing that, you remove any of the bumps in the road for them. Yeah. And it actually does them a disservice.
Yeah, and you hear people do that with food. They'll say, my parents made me, they wouldn't let me get up from the table if I didn't eat my peas or whatever. And then you end up going too far the other way, and you only give your kids chicken nuggets and pizza. That's all they'll eat forever. Right. I love seeing little kids eat grown like things that most kids wouldn't eat. Like my little niece and nephew, Jody's sister's children, they're twins. And since they were really small, they're eating salads, and they eat, seafood that most little kids wouldn't eat. They they tear it up, and they're not fat.
Yeah, that's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how you can train them to do that, but I have my niece is like that. She'll try anything, and she likes most things. So, when my other nephews, we're having steak for Christmas, all the kids are eating grilled cheese or whatever. She wants a steak as well. Mm-hmm. I think that's so cool.
Now, our liberal highfalutin friends, Glenn and Jodine.
Yeah.
They're from Northern California, fancy, and they have one child, and her name's Ava, and she's in college now. But when she was little, she always went with them to these fancy restaurants and stuff. So she's, I don't know, 9 or 10 years old, ordering and asking about how is this prepared and all this. So she's getting the surf and turf and all kinds of shit. I mean, just
maybe find a nice balance of those two things. I don't know that I want that.
Yeah.
Surf
like
and turf.
never looking at a kid's menu.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever had surf and turf, and I like all those things. I've never had a surf and turf. That's funny.
Well, I guess technically I have, because sometimes I get a steak and then I have a shrimp or crawfish cream sauce over the top of it. That would be considered surf and turf, right? It would be the seafood and steak.
I think so. Because you're not crazy about lobster, and that's typically how I see it.
Or shrimp. I see some people calling it, like at Chili's, surf and turf would be shrimp. Yeah, because I don't like lobster. It's too bland. If you cook lobster in the same water that you cook crawfish, I'd like it. Probably be a lot more flavorful.
I've only had a lobster. What was it? I've never eaten a lobster, like an actual lobster with
the
a
lobster tail. Yeah.
No, I might have had like a crab cake with lobster or something.
Mm-hmm. Now I like a lobster roll sandwich.
Yeah, you do.
Mm-hmm. But that's because it's got all these other flavors, and it's got this, the dressing and the spices and stuff. Mm-hmm. So I like that. But just to sit down and eat a lobster tail, I don't know that I've ever done that either. I mean, I've had, well, I guess I have, but they took it out of the tail, the shell.
Yeah,
I've had that. But
do you not like anything because your parents didn't like anything? Because I find myself, my mom hated lima beans, so she never made them for us. And now I've never even had them, but the sight of them turns me off so much. And I'm like, that's just because of my parents, or my mom specifically.
No, my parents ate stuff. They just didn't eat fancy things. I mean, they're always meat and potatoes, country type people. But growing up, I didn't eat onions at all, even cooked into things. And, Southern people always have onions and everything. Now I like them.
Yeah.
Not raw. I wouldn't eat one raw. But
you don't like that.
But I was the finicky kid growing up, and they would get frustrated with me because I wouldn't eat this or that or whatever.
So were you one of those kids that had to sit at the table until you finished it, or how did your parents handle it?
No, because I ate enough stuff to where, if we had, I don't know, 3 different things on the plate, I would eat 2 of them and eat a lot of it. Like steak and mashed potatoes, where I just may not eat, the lima beans or whatever that was. So I wasn't, like, looking at kids now, and when they're called finicky, I was nothing like that. It was not a level of that. But Jody's parents made her sit at the table until she ate all of her peas, green peas.
And she hates peas now.
Hates them now.
Yeah.
And then, when my daughter was little, she was so dramatic about having to try something that she didn't think she was going to like. And she'd start gagging before it even got to her mouth. It was so funny. She'd be putting it up to her mouth, and then it wouldn't even be touching her lips yet. It'd be really close, and then she'd go, like she tasted it and hated it,
Can you not laugh when that happens because it sends the wrong message, or you got to act like?
But Jody didn't want to laugh.
I bet.
Mm-hmm. She's yelling, screaming.
Yeah.
You didn't even taste it.
Which can't help the situation. It's not going to help Lane to go, oh, you know what? You're right. I didn't even taste it. Let me try it. That's so funny.
And then there have been times when she was little that she would actually get the whatever it was in her mouth, but not be able to even taste it yet, and start acting like she was going to throw up. And Jody would go, if you throw up, I am going to spank you. You better not throw up. Because she'd work herself up into such a frenzy.
Yeah, that's fun. But she's expanded her palate.
Yeah, a lot. But in the last 5 years, I mean, she got into adulthood pretty much before she started getting a little bit more adventurous in eating. And sometimes when you start cooking for yourself, that helps. You know what? Okay, well, I might try this because you're in there experimenting with things. And you go, oh, well, that's not bad. One of the things just over the past couple of years that she's really started liking is grilled onions and peppers.
Yeah. Wasn't she making fajitas not too long ago? Wow, that was a big change from the little kid that only wanted, chicken nuggets or whatever.
Chicken nuggets, pizza, grilled cheese, spaghetti with butter, not spaghetti sauce, and fries. Was about the extent of what she would eat.
All delicious things, but you can't survive on that.
Yeah.
Was the boy like that?
Not quite as bad.
Yeah.
But I had a bad parenting thing one time, and it still stuck with her. We were, just worried because that's all she would eat. She wouldn't eat anything. And she could go, if she didn't want to eat it, she'd go a long time without eating. And she always wanted to be a singer when she was little. And I did this whole thing trying to teach her about what happens to you if you don't eat and all of that. And I used Karen Carpenter as an example. Really? Yeah. And she ended up getting really sick and dying because she, thought that she was fat and she wouldn't eat and, all of that. Turns out that wasn't a good thing to do.
How did you come to that realization?
Just maturing a little bit more as a parent and stopping and going, I probably shouldn't have done that. And she brought it up to me one day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, after she was grown, yeah. Like, yeah, you're right. I shouldn't have been trying to scare you that way.
Yeah, I guess. I understand where you were coming from. They're like, you got to eat because you can see
right. And this is one of
come from not eating. Yeah.
This is one of the greatest singers in the world, died at a young age because she wouldn't eat.
Yeah.
You want to be a singer. You don't eat.
Yeah.
This is going to be you.
It was a highly personalized lesson.
Oh, yeah. A little too much for a 4-year-old to handle. No, she was older than that. All right. Hey, we got to take a break. More coming up.
TJ's Podcast.
Richard Toccato, the Richard Toccato Companies is here, and he's all about options. That's what you're always saying. I got options. Options?
The options are to get the equity of your house at the most cost-effective way that's going to save you the most amount of money, paying off credit cards, home improvement, whatever you want to do.
And that's one of the reasons you would use the Richard Toccato Companies instead of a bank, because they give you so many options. And it all starts with one free 5-minute phone call, 704-800-4719, or online at homewithrichard.com.
Richard Toccato Companies, Equal Housing Opportunity, NMLS number 38652.
They say there are only two things certain in life: sweet deals at Sweet Dreams and taxes.
And only one of those is certain this month.
Which one?
The sweet deals at Sweet Dreams.
What about the taxes?
No sales tax the entire month of April at Sweet Dreams.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And don't call me Shirley.
Love where you live, Lake Norman, and pay no sales tax during the month of April. Only at Sweet Dreams Furniture and Mattress.
Back to TJ's Podcast.
The country is still spinning from the news of Gypsy Rose Blanchard being pregnant.
Yeah. I hated that I missed yesterday's show and got to announce it during Now Trending. I was like, oh, damn. I wanted to be the one to share that little tidbit, but it's a crazy story.
And then we discovered made the revelation yesterday that I have become the gypsy expert amongst normal people that don't keep up with it so much. I always know the details, which is kind of sad. But evidently, and this is what I was telling Jody last night, my wife. So Gypsy Rose Blanchard gets out of penitentiary for her part in her mom's death, for killing her mom. While she was in the penitentiary, she gets engaged to this guy. That guy is engaged to her for a while, and breaks up with her because he doesn't want to be engaged to somebody in the penitentiary, I think is the way that went. And another guy from Louisiana, where her family is from, he said he saw her on TV and said, I'm going to fall in love with her. And he pursued her at the penitentiary, and they actually got married while she was in the penitentiary. So now this reality show is she's getting out of the penitentiary and starting her life and all of that. Well, while they were filming that, the news hits that she's dumped her husband and gone back to the other guy that she was engaged to in the penitentiary. Okay. So that's devastating to her husband as it's happening. Now, that was months ago. But the show is new. They just got all the production and all done, and they released it on I think a weekly basis on Hulu or one of those. It's a Lifetime project, I think. So not only does he have to live through that embarrassment and hurt and all of that while it's happening, now he knows that everybody else is catching up to see it. So it's going on again. Yeah. He's having to relive it.
Just a few months later.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm no fan of his. I think, he's annoying and acts arrogant and kind of, off-putting. Mm-hmm. But I don't doubt that he's hurt for real.
Sure. Of course, he fell in love with a woman in prison. His heart was in this.
And it wasn't like he accidentally fell. He's like, I was working at the prison, and we started talking and just hit it off. And over time, I grew to love her and all that. He set out to go meet her because he wanted to date her. He wanted her to, fall in love with him and stuff.
Probably looking forward to that day when she gets out. I mean, imagine falling in love with somebody but not being able to be around them, and then you just anticipate the day when they get out. Then you can hold them and kiss them and love them.
And that would be so much more difficult with the world watching it.
Yeah.
And not watching it because of something great that the person you fell in love with has accomplished. It's not like a celebrity person or someone who had, discovered some new cancer treatment or something like that. It's somebody who's infamous actually, for killing her mom, because her mom was such a lunatic that she led her this awful life as a little girl, raising her with Munchausen by proxy, making her think she's sick, having surgery. The whole story is not good. It's like my thing that I always say is that nothing good ever preceded somebody walking on the side of the interstate.
Right.
Same with here. Nothing good has preceded why everybody's interested in you.
Yeah.
So now all of this is happening, and I quit watching it. Jody watches it still because she's, she has a bigger tolerance for that sort of thing. But now Gypsy is pregnant, and I didn't know this until you sent me this clip this morning, Riggins, of what this girl is saying. I didn't know how far along she was, as in the pregnancy. But this is the question that this young lady on the TikTok has.
Gypsy Rose saying that she's 11 weeks pregnant, like 12 weeks after she left her husband, is so funny because you know who else lied about their child's age?
Which would be Gypsy's mom.
Yep.
Who always even lied to Gypsy about her age. Gypsy found out accidentally that she was way older than what her mom says she was.
Yeah.
Because her mom used that to get donations and all these benefits and everything from people, making them think that she was still a child who was disabled and all.
It is a little scary, the parallels between that we'll start to see maybe.
But again, there's no way that Gypsy wouldn't be disturbed.
100%.
You know, there's no way she comes out of any of that. She couldn't come out of even if she hadn't killed her mom. Even if one day she just decided, I'm going to tell the world I have to break out of here and all that, and would have done it the right way by going and telling people my mom has been making me do this and I'm not sick and I can walk and I can do all this. If she would have done that, it would still be a situation where she would look at her and go, bless her heart, she's going to be messed up for a long time from that. But then adding the other to it, that's the murder and the being a fugitive and being in prison for 8 years. I mean, all of that. I think that any guy that would want to hitch his wagon to that is crazy himself.
Yeah.
And that's why I look at both of these guys as just like, you know, something's wrong with y'all.
Yeah.
They stupid.
Yeah. And I don't know if she was in therapy in prison. But
yeah, she was.
She was. I think it's going to take probably years of therapy, and then adding this marriage thing while you're in therapy and in prison, it just complicates it on another level. And now a pregnancy right out of prison just seems like.
Yeah, that could not be more Louisiana. That whole scene, but it makes sense. It's not right. Somebody should have tried to talk some sense into her and shown her a different way. But it does make sense that she latches on to these situations because she's never been alone.
Yeah.
She's never had to live without somebody right there all the time.
Yeah.
Whether it was her mom, whether it was prison guards and roommates and other, you know, caged heat in the penitentiary. She's never had to sit down in an apartment or a house and say, this is my house and I live here on my own and I'm fully self-sufficient.
I'm an adult now,
yeah,
under my own guidance, not having some overseer, you know, control every aspect of my life.
Can you imagine? I mean, you and I are like alone time, you know, whatever. But there are some people who are that way. They never want to be alone.
Can't be alone.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll put themselves in situations that aren't beneficial to them for the sake of not being alone.
Yeah.
That seems like the better option to them.
They're all crazy.
Yeah.
The Gypsy, both of these guys, they're all crazy.
Yeah.
In the generic sense.
You just hope, you know, I had hoped that
now baby's coming into this situation.
Yeah, the baby, and we were just talking about it, like correcting your own childhood by being a good mother or father to your own kid seems like the right, you know, seems like the thing you want to do.
So that would mean that when Gypsy has this kid, it'll never go to the doctor, even when it does need to go. Because she'd be like, my mama made me go to all these doctors for no reason.
Yeah.
My kid's not going to get any kind of health care.
You like overcorrect.
Yeah.
But the fact that she's, you know, lying, if that's true, that is an eerie similarity.
Because I've never heard anybody say they're 11 weeks pregnant, or I don't think I have. It's always just, you know, a rounded number, like you would have said 12 weeks.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize that it had only been 12 weeks since she and her husband Ryan had split up.
Was that 3 months? Yeah, it probably is. It's just a crazy, crazy situation. And I hope that her stepmom or her stepfather, those two adult figures, are stepping up to the plate because they, you know, she's their family.
What I've seen is that they seem to have it together, but it's almost like they're afraid to criticize her because she has gone through so much and everything, and her mom told her all those years that her dad just didn't want to see her and he was ashamed of her for being disabled and all of that. it's almost like they're just afraid to even try to tell her you shouldn't do this or why are you doing this, because they don't want to upset her.
I kind of
she's
understand
been through
that.
so much.
Yeah, I understand that thought process, and she is an adult. It's not like it's a kid. I get that too. It's tough
because you're not just dealing with all of the psychological aspects of it. You're also dealing with a certain redneckish quality in the family, even though they're not. In Louisiana, you're not. Louisiana is not called redneck. Redneck is just more North Louisiana. But either way, but then again, if her mama wouldn't have been crazy and trashy to a certain extent, she wouldn't have done the way she did. So I was going to say, it's not like she came from a good family and has good structure and all that, and then went to prison and comes out being married and pregnant and all that. So it just compounds it.
Yeah, you're a product of your surroundings and your experience. So, that's why those stories of overcoming obstacles are always so amazing. Like, listen to what happened to this person and now see where they are. So maybe, you know what? She marries the guy. He's not the greatest guy, probably. But if she's able to, like, have a normal life and raise a kid, that's what you hope for. But right now, it's not looking so good. It ain't looking great.
Yeah, you got to look at it. She needs to look at him and go, you know what? I'm rethinking this.
What's wrong with you?
You wanted me when I was in the penitentiary. Something's wrong with you.
Yeah, I killed my mom, but you're effing nuts.
I can't believe we've just gone all that time talking about Gypsy Rose again.
Oh, well, it's a great story. It's not a great story. It's a fascinating story.
Yeah.
And just
but I'm
it's
just
getting
saying,
a lot of media coverage.
I'm not saying we shouldn't be talking about it this much. I'm just saying it's crazy that we've been able to make it, so interesting to people.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, sure.
Nobody else could do that. Nobody else could do 13 minutes on Gypsy Rose, an update on Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Yeah. Try that, Joe Rogan.
We're coming for that ass.
Yeah. Okay, so we got some stupid celebrity stuff coming up next.
More of TJ's podcast is coming up.
Our friend Richard Toccato of the Richard Toccato Companies is here, and you got a lot of pressure on you right now with the credit card debt. Let Richard help you. What are you going to do?
We're going to skip summer and make payments in the fall. How about that?
Nice.
And the best part about it is they're going to do that using the equity in your very own home. All you have to do is let Richard Toccato and the Richard Toccato Companies walk you through the process. It starts with one free 5-minute phone call, 704-800-4719, 704-800-4719, or online at homewithrichard.com.
Richard Toccato Companies, Equal Housing Opportunity, NMLS number 38652.
When it comes to losing weight, sometimes you don't even know where to start. You know that it needs to happen, but you need some help. Well, you start by going to acetj.com/weight loss and ordering Calitrin. Calitrin is scientifically proven to help you lose weight, and it is not a drug. It is not a drug. Repeat that. So here's what you do. You go to acetj.com/Calitrin, order 3 months, and then you'll get 3 months free. 4 months, 4 months free. That's how it works with Calitrin.
Welcome back, world, to TJ's podcast.
Yeah. Very often, I will tell you my thoughts on the double standard that exists in our country. Not between men and women double standards, not between races double standard, but between the rich and the famous and regular people. And years and years ago, I was the first to make the observation that if people weren't rich and famous, a lot of rich and famous people, if they weren't rich and famous and did what they do, their actions, they would be called redneck trash. Because if they just lived next door to you and did some of these things, you'd be like, that kids don't even walk by his house anymore. He's just trash. But because somebody's rich and famous, then they can do stupid, trashy things, and people laugh, and they think, "Oh, that was." And Michael Douglas is now on that list, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm not saying this to drop names or to flex, as the kids say. But Michael Douglas is one of the most warm, cordial, down-to-earth celebrities that we've ever interviewed on the Ace and TJ show. Ever. I mean, he was great. Kevin Costner was another one. But Michael Douglas, so good. And seemed very genuine. He may not have been. He may have been acting. He's a great actor. But still, he came across as very genuine. And I don't have anything negative to say about him as far as any of that goes. But he was on The View yesterday with those, in that semicircle of geniuses on The View. And I guess they brought up the fact that his wife is such a good golfer.
Yeah.
She's a good golf player. Her name's Catherine Zeta-Jones. Not Zeta, Catherine Zeta-Jones. And he says that they play golf against each other, and now that he's old, he gets to hit from the women's tee. So they're, pretty even on the, on the rules. And she beats him. And when she beats him at golf, he has to, quote unquote, whip it out on the golf course as the payoff for the bet that they may have had. So you got a 79-year-old man talking about, an accomplished, well-respected in his field man, 79-year-old man, telling these bunch of idiot women on The View and everybody else watching, who, if you're choosing to watch The View and not make fun of it, then you're a certain category yourself. If you're just a fan of The View. That he, as a supposedly distinguished man, stands on the golf course and takes out his penis in public to pay off the bet that he made with his wife on the game. It's just, and I never say TMI. I hate that. That's cringy, but that's something that people don't need to know. You're 79, you've been a celebrity superstar, living in Hollywood your entire life before you were an actor, because his dad was a successful actor. Comes from the family. He was born in that environment and raised in it. You've got to have more interesting stories in your repertoire than to sit there and tell those hens on The View that you take your penis out on the golf course because your wife beats you.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a level of, his father, Kirk Douglas, I remember when his last public appearances was at the Oscars or something. I think he died at over 100.
Yeah.
But it was pretty clear that even at that age, he was still having plastic surgery done on his face. The guy's in a wheelchair. He can barely speak. And he's having plastic surgery done on his face. What level of psychosis are you under?
Right.
You're just delusional.
It's just like when I know a person who used to compete in bodybuilding contests, shows. He's long retired from that. He hasn't been in one of those shows in 20 something years, but he continues to try to keep his body looking that way, and all of the rigorous training and supplements that he has to take to maintain that. And it's not even a competition anymore. So it's the same kind of thought process, is that, I'm in a wheelchair, I'm 100 years old, but I still want to look the best I can. And to me, the best I can look is by having another facelift or cheek implants or whatever.
I mean, it is illness. So, yeah, I like Michael Douglas too. I mean, he's unbelievable. But that is bizarre.
But there was a list of... it's a BuzzFeed list of other things that celebrities have said that they should have kept to themselves. Like somebody said that Charlie Puth one time said that he wrote a song in the middle of relations. He was in the middle of a relations, and as Jody calls him, my little Charlie Puth.
My little Charlie Puth.
Wrote a song. He had to stop and write a song.
That's weird. We know.
Then there's one about Chad Kroger that is, I'm not even going to say it.
Oh, it's that bad?
Yeah. Ariana Grande saying that Pete Davidson has 10 inches. Like, why? I mean, come on.
Yeah, come on.
Who needs to know that? Somebody named Anna Lynn McCord. What does she do?
She was on Gossip Girl or something, I think. One of those shows.
She told somebody on a podcast that she had a 750-pound steel bondage dungeon bed with restraints built in, and that she used it for because she used to, quote, need sex like a bottomless pit, end quote. Ooh. She was ravenous. Again, why are you telling that? It's such a twisted mindset to think that. Well, maybe not, because what we were talking about earlier about the Hoktui girl. I guess in today's pop culture, that does give you, credit, street cred, so to speak.
Yeah,
to be talking about, sexual things and putting your business, as they say, putting your business in the street.
Don't you think it's weird when you're a young person and you're into that specific kind of?
Oh yeah.
I mean. You're young. You're in your 20s, and you want a steel dungeon sex bed? What are you talking about? What is that? I'm not trying to kink shame anybody, but come on.
Yeah, I'll kink shame people.
That's some weird stuff.
We got to get back to kink shaming.
Maybe.
And people just aren't raised right. That's what it all comes down to. You're just not raised right. Some of these, like Angelina Jolie, I don't even want to. Okay, I can kind of give you this. She said, I started having sex with my boyfriend, and the sex and the emotions didn't feel enough. I was no longer a little girl. In a moment of wanting to feel closer to my boyfriend, I grabbed a knife and cut him. He cut me back. We had an exchange of something, and we were covered in blood. My heart was racing. Okay, well, then somebody should have taken her to the doctor at that point. She needed to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
And have some counseling.
If I'm with the hottest woman in the world, and then she pulls a knife on me and then cuts me, I'm done with it. I'm calling the police probably.
Yeah.
Like, she just cut me. We had something. Yeah, you had a felony charge.
Right. You're with a psycho is what you have, or you are a psycho. That's what you got.
I don't have many rules in the bedroom, but one of them is don't grab a knife and cut me.
Yeah, I'm as sexually adventurous as the next fella, I'd like to think.
Just don't stab me.
The bar is pretty low.
Yeah. Hey,
mainly don't stab me.
Let's shoot each other next time. I mean, what are you talking about? Can I bury you alive? No. Am I that boring? Am I that much of a dud to you? You gonna cut me?
I would love to just eat your bottom lip right now. Either bite it off or whack it off and then chew it and swallow it, and you'll always be part of me.
Can I slam your big toe into the door frame? No, I don't think so. I think you should leave.
But again, if your neighbor's telling you this stuff, you're going to think, oh, get away from me. Yeah. And kids, don't go over there. You're not going over there to play with our kids again. But it's a big celebrity, beautiful, famous, rich. Oh, it's just kind of wacky.
She's amazing. I'll be thinking about that the next time I see Angelina Jolie talking about her humanitarian acts. I'm like, yeah, well, you also like cut your boyfriend and he cut you back and you were into it.
Because because the sexual part of it was just not enough until you were covered in each other's blood.
Oh, you built a well? Great. Well, you also stabbed your boyfriend.
If I'm Brad Pitt's attorneys, I'm bringing that up in every custody case.
Yeah. Like, we're not talking about that? Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. She stabbed her boyfriend and he cut her back. So.
Yeah, we're not talking about a stable mom here.
Then why'd you stab that guy?
Yeah. And how can you be making the relations and then just reach and grab a knife?
Yeah, why is
there a knife right there?
Within arm's reach. Unless
it was in the kitchen.
Yeah. Just going to grab this. Yeah. I wouldn't let her get, I mean, she's not going to get close enough to cut. I mean, if I see her grab the knife, I'm, oh, hold on. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's almost like a surprise attack. It sounds like she may have had it under the pillow and reached around.
Talking about the body and mind connection. Please, what are you talking about?
Yeah, you're psychotic. You need to go to the hospital.
Crazy, man.
So that's it for today. Gotta go. I gotta run errands today. Get ready for my big trip. We're flying out tomorrow.
Yeah.
To the tropical paradise of Alexandria, Louisiana. Actually, it is a subtropical paradise. That's the official title or name of the climate in Louisiana, subtropical.
I just hear swamp ass.
Yeah,
that's all.
It's bad. It's going to be so bad. All right, we will talk to you tomorrow. Love you. Bye.
Serving the world. It's TJ's podcast.